The dead do not knock like the living. They knock slow, patient, like they know you have nowhere else to go. The first time I heard that sound, I was holding a lantern outside the king's dining hall. By the third knock, the flame in my hand was shaking so hard that hot oil spilled onto my fingers. I did not feel the burn until much later. That was the night everything changed in our kingdom. Before all this, life under our king was simple and good. People called him the king with the open hand. No one left his palace hungry. Travelers were fed before they even spoke their names. Widows received grain every month. When floods destroyed homes near the lower plains, the king gave away wood from his own forest. Some rulers are feared. Ours was loved. I was only 20 then, newly chosen as a night guard. It was an honor in my family. My father had guarded the same palace until his legs failed him. Stay alert at night, he told me on my first day. Darkness shows you things the sun hides. I thought he meant thieves. I did not know he meant the dead. The year it began, the rains failed us. At first, we were not afraid. One bad rain comes and goes. But the clouds stayed thin for months. The river shrunk until children could cross it without wetting their knees. Maize dried before the ears formed. Still, the king gave food. His advisors warned him. If we empty the stores now, what will we eat later? They asked. But the king would not listen. What is the use of food if my people starve while it sits behind walls? He said. So the gates stayed open from sunrise to sunset. Lines grew longer each day. Then one evening, just as the sky turned red, she arrived. I remember her clearly because no one saw her approach. One moment the courtyard was empty. The next, she stood near the steps like she had always been there. An old woman. Very old. Her back bent like a broken branch, yet her eyes were sharp. Too sharp. They caught the light in a way that made them look wet, like stones pulled from a river. I have walked far, she said. Her voice was calm, but it carried across the whole courtyard. The king himself came down to greet her. You are welcome here, mother, he said. Food will be prepared. She studied him for a long moment. They speak true about you, she said. You share with everyone. I tried, the king answered. Then she said something that made the air feel colder. Promise me you will never refuse anyone who comes to your table at night. No matter who they are. No matter how they look. The advisors shifted uneasily. It was a strange request. People rarely visited at night unless something was wrong. But our king smiled proudly. In this palace, no one is turned away, he said. I promise. The old woman nodded once. Then she walked toward the outer gate. The guards later swore she never passed them. It was as if she faded into the dusk. The first visitor came 2 nights later. The moon was high. Most of the palace slept. Then came the knock. Slow. 3 times. When I opened the door, I almost closed it again. The man standing there looked freshly dug from the ground. His feet were bare and grey with dust. His wrap was tied the way we dress bodies for burial. And the smell? Not rot. Just damp earth. Food, he said. His lips barely moved. Every part of me wanted to refuse him. But a promise from a king is heavier than a guard's fear. So I led him inside. The king welcomed him without question and shared his meal. The man ate strangely. He chewed too long, like he had forgotten how swallowing worked. Grains stuck to his chin. When he smiled, I saw soil caught between his teeth. After he left, clumps of dirt marked his path across the floor. At sunrise, word reached the palace. A farmer named Lamech had been found dead the day before. When his family checked the grave that morning, the burial cloth was gone. I told myself it was thieves. I slept badly. The next night, 2 came. Then 4. Always silent. Always dusty. Always hungry. Soon, people whispered that graves were being disturbed across the kingdom. Then I saw someone I knew. My cousin Patrick. We buried him after fever took him. I helped lower him into the ground myself. Yet there he was, sitting across from the king. His head tilted too far to one side. When his eyes found mine, my stomach dropped. "Brother," he said. But it was not his voice. It sounded like wind moving through a narrow hole. I ran outside and vomited behind the cooking hut. After that, sleep left me. The palace began to change. Workers refused night duty. Some quit without collecting their pay. Even the bravest guards avoided looking directly at the visitors. But the king never broke his promise. "They come hungry," he said simply. Within weeks, the grain stores fell low. Something else began to happen. People stopped dying. At first, it seemed like a miracle. Then we understood it was not. Old men lay gasping for days, begging for rest that would not come. A child with snakebite stayed alive through a night of terrible pain until even the healers wept. Death had slowed because it was busy elsewhere, feeding at the king's table. One night, the oldest guard, Bonda, pulled me aside. "This door is open," he whispered, nodding toward the dining hall. "And it should never have been opened." We decided to follow the visitors. We kept our lantern covered and walked far behind them as they drifted toward the burial grounds. None spoke. When they reached the graves, they did something I will never forget. Each stepped into the soil. Not laid down. Stepped. The earth softened and took them back without a sound. My knees nearly gave way. Banda's grip on my arm kept me standing. The worst night came when the king's only son died. A quick illness. Gone before dawn. The palace drowned in mourning. Yet that night, the knocking came again. And when the doors opened, the boy walked in, still wearing the beads we buried with him. The king rushed forward and pulled him into an embrace. The child did not return it. His arms hung stiff. "Father," he said softly. But his eyes were empty. That was the first time I saw our king collapse. By morning, the old woman returned. No one saw her enter. "You kept your promise," she told the king. "End this," he begged. "Take my cattle. My crown. Anything." She shook her head slowly. "A gift without wisdom becomes a curse. You opened your hand to all, even those who belong to the earth. Why punish my people?" he cried. She looked at him with something like pity. "Kindness must have a boundary. Even the river has banks." Then she was gone again. That night, the king gave a new order. "Seal the palace." When the knocking started, no one moved. It grew louder. Angrier. The great wooden doors trembled. Cracks spread across them. Just before they broke, the king stood and shouted into the darkness. "My promise ends here. Return to your rest." A wind rose so suddenly it tore torches from the walls. Then silence. A deep silence that seemed to breathe. By dawn, the kingdom felt lighter. The sick passed peacefully. No graves were disturbed again. But our king, he was never the same. He still gave, but carefully. He asked questions. He learned that saying no can also protect the living. As for me, I left palace work not long after. I am an old man now. Yet sometimes, during the driest nights when the world is too quiet, I wake up sure I have heard it again. 3 slow knocks. And I lie very still, waiting. Because once you have opened the door for the dead, you learn that not every knock is meant to be answered.